What would you do if you found yourself trapped in a place like that? Have you ever felt a presence watching you just when you thought you were alone? Share your stories in the comments, and if you want to hear more terrifying tales like this, don't forget to subscribe. After all, who knows what's hiding in the shadows, waiting to make you its next victim? It's a small, forgotten town, tucked away in the woods, far from the nearest city. No one ever goes there, and no one ever talks about it. The town is like a ghost itself, isolated, hidden, as though it's been forgotten by time. The streets are quiet, the buildings decaying, and the air feels heavy. It's thick, dense, as if the trees themselves are watching for something or someone. And at the edge of this town there's a house, an old, crumbling place that's been abandoned for decades. The windows are boarded up, the roof is caving in, and the door hangs loosely, like it's waiting to be opened. Or maybe it's waiting for someone to try to leave. The villagers know better than to go near it. They don't even speak its name. They say it's cursed, that something terrible happened inside, something that still lingers in the walls, the floors, the very air. And now it wants more souls, more lives to claim. The house stands in silence, as if it's biding its time, waiting for someone to step through that door. But that's not the only thing people fear. It's the whispers. They say you can hear them if you listen closely enough. Soft, faint voices calling from the shadows, from the cracks in the walls, from deep within the darkness. The whispers that seem to follow anyone who dares walk too close. They call to you, tempting you, luring you into the house. To anyone brave enough, or foolish enough, to listen. The air grows thicker, heavier, as if the whispers are just on the edge of hearing, waiting for someone to cross the line. On this particular night, a group of friends decides to challenge the stories they've heard about the house. They laugh it off, brushing it aside as nothing more than an old town legend. But they're about to learn, not all stories are just stories. There's Jake, the skeptic. He's the one who always tries to explain everything away. If something's creepy, it's just a trick of the light or the wind. Nothing more. Nothing supernatural. Then there's Sarah. She's the one who can't shake the feeling that something's wrong, even as she smiles and jokes with the others. She's the one who feels that gnawing unease, that cold grip tightening in her chest, but hides it behind laughter. Mark is the adventurer, the fearless one. He's eager to prove that nothing can scare him. That this place, this house, will be just another challenge to conquer. He wants to be the hero of the story. And finally, there's Mia, the one who wants to believe. She's heard the stories, the rumors, and deep down she's always wondered if there's truth to them. She's the one who insists they have to go inside. What if it's real, she says. What if we can prove it? They stand before the house, looking up at it. The wind howls around them, making the trees creak and groan. The house seems to loom over them, its broken windows staring down like empty eyes. For a moment, no one says anything. The silence is thick. The air feels different, charged, like something is waiting. But then Mark, the fearless one, steps forward. With a grin that doesn't quite reach his eyes, he pushes the door open. It creaks loudly, echoing in the night like a warning. A moment of hesitation fills the air, but then they follow him in, unaware of the terror that's about to unfold. As soon as they step inside, the temperature drops. The air becomes thick with dust, so heavy it feels like the house is suffocating them. And the smell, it's strange, like something old and rotting, something forgotten. A smell that clings to the walls and wraps itself around their senses, making it hard to breathe. Jake laughs nervously, trying to brush it off. It's just an old house, he says, forcing a grin. Nothing to be afraid of. But even his voice sounds hollow, uncertain in the thick, stale air. Sarah wraps her arms around herself, her eyes darting around uneasily, every creak of the floorboards making her jump. The house feels wrong, like it's watching them, like it's alive in a way it shouldn't be. But Mia, she feels something else, something deeper. She feels it deep in her bones, a presence that presses in around her. It's cold, unnerving, and it's not a good one. The floor creaks under their feet, echoing through the empty space, every step they take amplifying the silence. The sound of their footsteps is the only noise in the house, until there's another sound, a soft whisper, so faint, almost imperceptible, but enough to make Sarah stop dead in her tracks. "Did you hear that?" she whispers, her voice trembling, her heart racing in her chest. It's a whisper, not from the wind, but from inside the house. The kind of whisper that makes your blood run cold. Jake shrugs, trying to keep his cool. "It's nothing, probably just the wind," he says, but his voice cracks slightly. Even he can't ignore the chill in the air. The way the house seems to breathe with them, the way the walls seem to press in around them, as if the house itself is alive, waiting, watching. Sarah's eyes widen and she takes a step back. This isn't just an old house. Something here is wrong. Something here is awake. The silence deepens. The whispers grow louder as the group realizes they might have made a terrible mistake. "You said," then without warning, the door slams shut behind them. Hard. The sound echoes through the house, making them all jump. They turn to look, but there's nothing. Just an empty hallway leading deeper into the darkness. Panic begins to set in. "Let's go," Mark says, rushing to the door, but the door won't open. It's like the house is holding them in. They try to force it, but it's no use. The whispers grow louder, clearer. They're coming from inside the walls, from the shadows. Sarah's breath catches in her throat as she backs away, her eyes wide with fear. "We need to get out of here," she says, her voice barely a whisper. But as they turn to leave, something stops them. A shadow, moving in the corner of the room, stretching and shifting, like it's alive. Then, without warning, the door slams shut behind them, hard. The sound echoes through the house, vibrating through the walls, making them all jump in shock. They spin around, hearts pounding, eyes wide with fear, but there's nothing. No wind, no movement, just the door firmly closed, and an empty hallway leading deeper into the darkness. Panic begins to set in. Mark, always the one to act first, rushes toward the door. "Let's go," he says, trying to push it open, but it won't budge. It's as if the house itself is holding them in, locking them inside. His hands grip the handle, pulling and pushing, but it's no use. The door is stuck, stubborn, unyielding. The tension rises. They look around, each of them feeling the suffocating weight of the house pressing in on them. The air feels colder now, sharper. The whispers, they grow louder, clearer. They're coming from inside the walls, from the shadows, swirling around them like an invisible storm. Sarah's breath catches in her throat. Her eyes widen with terror as she backs away, her body trembling. The whispers are too close now, too real. She can feel them, brushing against her ears, seeping into her thoughts. "We need to get out of here," she says, her voice barely a whisper, as though speaking too loud will make the house turn its attention on them. Her words hang in the air, heavy with fear. But as they turn to leave, something stops them. A shadow. It moves, slowly at first, flickering in the corner of the room, stretching and shifting, like it's alive. The dark shape dances in and out of the light, twisting in unnatural ways. It's not just a shadow. It's something else. Something that's been waiting for them to make a move. The air grows colder, the whispers intensify, and for a moment, everything seems to freeze. The shadow creeps closer, as if drawn to them. And in the silence that follows, they realize this is no longer just a house. This is a trap. Their hearts race, the fear palpable as they struggle to decide what to do next. But it feels like it's already too late. They're trapped. The walls seem to close in around them, the air growing heavier, suffocating. The shadows stretch out further, swallowing the room in an impenetrable darkness. The whispers. They're no longer just whispers. They become voices. Screams. Angry, desperate, full of rage and torment. The sound swirls around them, closing in from all sides as if the very house is alive. Alive with something that wants them, that's been waiting for them to come. The temperature drops even further, the cold seeping deep into their bones. They can see their breath now, thick plumes of white in the air, as if the house itself is exhaling its icy breath onto them. It's not just the house anymore. No, it's something inside it, something far worse, something that has been waiting, watching, luring them in. Jake tries to stay calm, his voice cracking as he attempts to reason with the others. "It's just in our heads," he says, his words faltering. "We need to stay together." But even he can feel it now, the weight of the fear pressing down on him, crushing his roar.